Okay, hello everyone. I'm very pleased to be here today to comment this OECD report, and I would like to thank the colleagues in OECD for this very comprehensive and important report. Thank you very much. I would also like to thank the Ministry of Education and Culture, Ministry of Social Affairs and Health, and Ministry of Employment and Economy for initiating this report. It's a very important topic. And of course, I would also like to thank the opportunity to comment on this report. As we have already seen this morning, the report is very comprehensive, covering many of the main areas of youth education and services. It provides many interesting examples from comparison countries and practical recommendations on how to prevent youth exclusion by improving competition of upper secondary education and services for the disadvantaged youth, and how to ease the transition from school to work. And as been already mentioned this morning, some of the recommendations will probably be carried out already quite soon. Since this report is wide and covers a wide range of issues, and the time for the comment is limited because we still need time to discuss, I will take up just a couple of questions that I find important. First, I will say a few words about the government funding of education and youth services, and they have also been mentioned here several times this morning. The report recommends that Finland should ensure sufficient support for students with additional needs at the upper secondary level by modifying the funding model. I think this is a very important policy measure and closely relates to the success of other recommendations which is also made in this report, namely the raising of school completion age. In order of this policy measure to be efficient for those groups that are in danger of dropping out and that drop out at the moment from the upper secondary vocational education, special needs education should be provided sufficiently. And this can be ensured by modifying the funding formula. Another point concerning the funding of youth services relates to the result in the report that there is quite large variation in resources for youth services across the country. And the report recommends adequate youth support networks in all regions and the development of digital services. Youth outreach services are mentioned in this context. And I'm mentioning it because at the moment we are currently auditing the efficiency and effectiveness of these services. And some of our preliminary results show that the share of government funding of these services are not very closely related to, for example, regional needs measured with some basic indicators. And here in this figure, you see the share of 17 to 24-year-olds out of education and the share of long-term income support receivers. And there on the horizontal axis, there is the share of government subsidies from total costs. And as you can see from the figures, there is really no relation between these things. And even if you look at the numbers of 17 to 24-year-old youth, not in education, you can see that, of course, there are municipalities that are large, and there is a large number of these youths, but still there is not any clear relationship between these numbers. So far, the aim of the government funding has been to ensure the provision of youth outreach services in all parts of the country. But since the funding model provides one way to steer the resource allocation, I'm kind of raising the question whether these regional needs should also be taken into account when granting the subsidies to service providers. So this is one thing that I would like to take up when discussing possible measures here this afternoon. This question also applies to other services for youth that are partly funded by government subsidies and encountering the same problem. So, my second question concerns the evaluation of the effectiveness of youth services and policy reforms that also been mentioned here today. I have a background in evaluation and research, and therefore I find this recommendation very important. And I know that even though there have been a lot of measures in recent years taken, we still lag behind. And especially when it comes to obtaining good quality data enabling causal inference, we are very much behind other countries. So, in enhancing this goal, I think we should still consider putting more emphasis on the question of legislative phase, and this is also mentioned in the report. I think that we should also continue systematic investment on data collection and improving the register information. And actually what we also should do, I think we should increase the scientific knowledge on how to conduct reliable policy evaluations at different levels of administration. So with these words, I thank you very much for your attention.